Welcome to Girl Dad, the podcast. I'm your host, Madeline Anderson, and I started this podcast to give fathers the tools to understand and connect with their daughters. Dads, you have such an impact on your daughters. I'm here to support you by providing the daughter's perspective and bringing on experts and guests to help you raise happy, healthy, and confident daughters. All right, Girl Dads, let's get into it. Hey, and welcome back to Girl Dad, the podcast. I'm your host, Madeline Anderson, and today is episode 52 of this podcast. So in honor of it being 1 year of podcasting with you, I wanted to take this episode to reflect on 10 lessons that stood out in conversations from the past year. These are common themes that showed up in various guest conversations, whether it was with a daughter, a father, a coach, a therapist, or a teacher. So with that, let's get into it. Lesson number 1. Presence is the best present. So all the daughters that I talk to, both on the podcast and offline, always mention something about the importance of your presence. It's a common theme that keeps coming up, and when a daughter thinks about the most important thing that her father brings to the table, she doesn't think about your perfection. She doesn't think about your income or your big moments, the highlight reels. She thinks of your presence. And being there consistently and showing up in the ordinary moments of her life is one of the main things that she will build her sense of self-worth on and reflect back on when she thinks about you and her relationship with you. Daughters that feel that their dad is present feel more confident, more secure, and more capable of navigating the world. It's not a coincidence. It is rooted in neuroscience, and it really makes us feel loved and cared for and worthy of your time and attention when you can give us your full undivided attention and be fully present with us. I know this can be challenging, especially when it comes to work days, or maybe if you are already doing something and then your daughter comes in and she wants your attention and you're working on another task. But I put this as number 1 for a reason. It is something that every single daughter thinks about and talks about and wants from their father. So if you're going to take away one thing from this episode, one lesson, I want it to be this: be present with your daughter. Okay, number 2, it's the little things that matter most. I feel like this one goes hand in hand with the first one, but really this is all about the conversations that I've had with daughters, and when they're thinking about their favorite memories with their dad or things that are most important about their relationship, it was always the little things that mattered the most. When daughters are reflecting back on these special moments, typically they think about the car rides or the inside jokes or consistent Sunday dinners or Saturday brunches. It's these micro moments that compound over time and have a special meaning to them. So the takeaway here is pay attention to these moments that you do have with your daughter. Do you have little rituals? Do you pay attention to her in the car? Do you have songs that you bond over? What are those little things that you know make a difference to your daughter's day? And are there ways that you can incorporate more of those things in her life? I also think this kind of goes hand in hand with one of the takeaways from the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I did a deep dive episode on that book and how it relates to father-daughter relationships, because at the end of the day, it's a male versus female dynamic. One of the things that he talked about is that men and women keep points differently or keep score differently. So, for example, women give 1 point to everything across the board, and the points restart at the end of the day. So saying I love you or saying you're so beautiful is 1 point, and so is a present. So if you buy your wife or daughter a necklace, you get a point. And if you open the car door for her and help her in the car, that's also a point. Points are created equally across the board. So micro moments of lots of points actually weigh heavier than less frequent big gestures. Even if you're spending way more or thinking about things way more, the actual value that women have for those big things may not be equal to the value that you put into it or the time and energy that you put into it. So maybe that's why we always think that the little things matter the most. Maybe it's a woman thing for us. But I think it's important to note this because as a father, if you want to build a strong relationship with your daughter, then it's great to know how she thinks and what's most important to her. And based on the conversations that I've had this past year, I can tell you it's the little things that matter most. Number 3, her relationship with you shapes every relationship she'll have. This is another main takeaway from the daughter episodes that I have on this podcast. And it's something that I think a lot of dads are aware of, but it's worth calling out nonetheless. So, how you treat your daughter and how you interact and treat other women around you, whether it's your wife or your sister or your mom, your daughter sees these things, she feels these things, and it helps shape her expectations for her future relationships. So, when it comes to setting your daughter up for success in dating or marriage, setting the bar really high for what she should expect and how she should be treated is one of the best ways that you can do so. Some ways that you can do this are things like taking her on dates, opening the car door for her, helping her out of the car, walking on the side of the sidewalk that's closest to traffic, and telling her that you're doing that and why you're doing that, listening to her stories, sitting across from her, looking her in the eyes, giving her your undivided attention, and making it known that anyone else should treat her with the same levels of respect and love. My friends and I always talk about how incredible our husbands are and how our dads were a huge part of that because they really set the bar for what we should expect. And we found men who really treat us well and are super respectful and loving and caring. And yeah, I just think it's really important to call out that your actions and words and the way that you make your daughter feel really sets the standard for what she looks for in other relationships. Number 4, include your daughter in your world. In the last episode, I had my dad on for the Father's Day special, and we did talk a lot about this theme, but it has come up in plenty of other podcast episodes as well. And I think it's something that is extremely important when it comes to building father daughter relationships. Daughters want to be part of your world. So let them in and they'll do the same. And it's also fun. I mean, some of my favorite memories growing up have been due to my dad including us in his world. So I'm sure you've heard me talk about my love for golf, but that is something that my dad introduced me to and my sisters. And we've had so many incredible memories because he decided that that's something he loved and he wanted to share that love with us. So I'm super grateful for that. And the same goes for skiing and camping. And for other dads, football is a big one where they, instead of just keeping football Sundays for the boys, they have invited their daughter to be a part of it and asked her to watch football with them, bought them a jersey, explained the rules, and made it really fun for them. It's a great way to bond with your daughter while maintain your happiness and do things that you love because happy fathers make the best fathers. Number 5, know when to listen versus solve problems. So this is another kind of male versus female brain dynamic. And I think this can be a superpower for dads on connecting with their daughters. So one of the main differences between men and women are men are natural problem solvers. You guys are great at solving problems, and that is a beautiful thing. Don't ever change. But sometimes us women, us daughters, come to our dads not looking to necessarily have a problem solved, but just to feel better. And if you think about our desired outcome and your desired outcome, oftentimes it's the same thing. You want us to feel better. We want to feel better. But the way to get there is a different process. So you might think, oh, she's coming to me with this problem. She doesn't feel good or she's feeling anxious. Let me solve it so she feels better. But for us as daughters, in order to feel better, we actually have to talk about it and feel validated. And so the path to feeling better actually has a lot to do with listening and feeling validated. So I created something called the valve strategy to help dads navigate these situations. And when I told my husband about the valve strategy, He asked me if it was like a pressure relief valve, and I had to ask him what that was, but turns out, yes, that's actually pretty accurate. So the V stands for validate. So if your daughter comes to you and she's feeling stressed out about something, first, validate her feelings. Tell her, I understand why you're feeling so stressed. I can imagine that is a tricky situation, or I can imagine why you feel so much pressure and overwhelm with all the things you have going on. A is ask questions. So ask her a couple follow-up questions about maybe why she thinks she's feeling this way or what all she has going on. Get her to kind of talk more about this thing that she's feeling. L is listen. So just listen intently, look her in the eyes, make her feel validated again just through your ears. V is validate again. Tell her that you understand her and you see her and you can understand why she's feeling this way. And last, E is execute. And this is when you can solve the problem if it makes sense to. By this time, she might actually be feeling really good, and you've already solved the problem because you've listened and you've validated and you've asked good questions. But maybe there is a opportunity for you to use your natural problem-solving skills and support your daughter. And by this time, she'll be much more receptive to an actual solution. Whereas before, let's say she comes to you with a problem and you jump immediately to a solution, sometimes it can feel like your time is too valuable to have a real conversation. And I know that's not your intention, but this is just how the female brain works. So I want you to be fully aware of what she might be thinking or feeling or spiraling into. So yeah, she might feel like maybe you don't have time to hear her out or you don't care to hear about her feelings. And also sometimes there can be feelings of feeling degraded a little bit because it's like, oh, well, if it's that easy, why didn't I think of it? And it's really because if you solve a problem too quickly, it might make her feel like she should have done that herself, or, she can just really translate that one solution into a lot of different stories in her head. So, in order to prevent that from happening, I just want you to be fully aware of how we work as women and how to navigate our emotions and validate us so that we feel really good and the shared outcome is achieved. Number 6, repairing can be even more powerful than perfection. So I've seen this come up in a lot of episodes, and it's really about, when you mess up, and you will, everyone does, how you handle it teaches her more than if you had gotten it right the first time. So apologies go a long way. Being able to explain what you did wrong, what you wish you said instead, or, why you're sorry. These things really matter to daughters. And if left unspoken, again, we can spiral and think about the meaning of things and tie meaning to things that actually didn't mean that in the first place. But it's really important for you to be aware of the power of an apology. And when it makes sense, having these mature conversations about how you messed up or what you wish you said can be really, really effective in repairing relationships and even building strong foundations of trust and open communication. Number 7, be cautious and curious about social media and technology. So we have talked a lot about this topic, especially in more recent episodes, but it's definitely a theme that keeps coming up on this podcast. I did a 3-part deep dive on the book, The Anxious Generation. So if you're curious about this and why it's so important, especially for young girls, I would recommend going back to those episodes to explore that further. But the takeaway here is it's really important to be aware of your daughter's technology and social media uses. Having no phone zones like, dinner being a no phone time or car rides is a great way to ensure you have that present time with your daughter. But this topic goes so much deeper, especially in terms of preventing anxiety and depression and self-isolation. So again, I would highly recommend diving deeper into this and really thinking about how you want to structure these conversations with your daughter. But I think the 2 main takeaways are to be both curious and cautious when it comes to technology and social media use. Number 8, a hug from dad can be very powerful. So this one is something, again, that came up in quite a few daughter episodes. Dads, you have a lot of powers, but One of them is nervous system regulation, and a hug from you as a protector and someone who loves unconditionally can feel so amazing to the daughter. She can feel safe, she can feel loved, she can feel cared for and supported. So, giving her 7-second hugs at least, this is when I believe oxytocin is released, um, is actually really powerful to your relationship. And actually, last weekend, I was in Austin and there was a big backyard barbecue, big party. And for Father's Day, I helped little girls make Father's Day cards for their dads. And it was so cute because one of the prompts was if dad was a superhero, his powers would be blank. And I would ask the girls about what their dad's superpower would be. And one of the girls wrote hugging. And it was so cute because when she gave him the card, he was reading it and he's like, "Oh, hugging." And he gave her a huge hug and held her. And then she like kind of whispered, "This is why I wrote this." And it just melted my heart because you could tell she cared so much about that feeling of being hugged by her dad. And she wrote that so that she could get a hug and to just call out how important those hugs are for her. So they might not say it like that out loud, but I can guarantee being embraced by your dad is something that is really special. So just keep that in mind, no matter how old your daughter is. Number 9, talk about work. This is another one that is a common theme on the podcast, so I'm sure you've heard me say it, but the more your daughter understands what you do, the less she will feel this separation from, the work-life balance challenge where she feels like you choose work over her or wants to spend more time on work versus time with her. The more you tell her about your work, the more you talk about how excited it makes you feel and what you're working on and help her understand what it is that you do, the less it's this mysterious thing that is pulling you away from her. So, for this common theme or lesson, I would just say really make an effort to talk to your daughter about work and include her in your work world as well as your play world. And finally, number 10, you shape your daughter's internal dialogue. This is another theme that we've talked about, and this is really important because everything that you say to your daughter gets written in Sharpie. So, her internal dialogue is actually comprised of a lot of things that you tell her about herself or about what you're proud of or what she's accomplished. I mean, I still to this day have so many things that I tell myself that really my dad told me. And I'm very lucky that they're positive and empowering. But it's very important for dads to be aware of the power of their words and the weight of their words. Daughters really hold on to these words. And the more that you can empower her and help her feel confident in herself, you are doing her such a favor. You can really help build her confidence and sense of self-worth and strengthen your relationship. I have learned so much on this podcast, and I love having conversations with dads and daughters and experts in various fields, and I can't believe that it has already been a year. So I just feel really grateful to be in this position and have these conversations and share them with you. And cheers to year number 2. If there are any specific topics or future guests that you would like me to have on, please DM me or email me. I love hearing from you and I appreciate your support always. So, with that, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.